So, where do I begin this evening? That is a good question. Uh, I did have on my computer screen here the countries that are part of the NATO alliance. There's too much of a glare. So, that's really a visual prop that isn't 100% necessary anyway. We all have the internet at our fingertips, and you can look these countries up. Here's the issue, and I've noticed that a lot of people do not seem to understand this, and others have tried to explain it, but I'm going to try to explain it quickly. NATO is not like some kind of club where you pay dues, and if you're delinquent in paying your dues, you don't get the club benefits. Uh, See, this is the type of grade school mentality that MAGA supporters and Donald Trump, like this is a guy who unfairly, in my opinion, but whatever, he was president. Ugh, I mean, it doesn't even sound right coming out of my mouth, but he was the president of our country. Although, well, that's another story. But it's as if he cannot understand. So there are 2 points I'd like to make here. Number one, unfortunately, I have to say, he does understand what he's a Russian asset. He has been up to this for many years. This is not something that he got. They basically handpicked him for his narcissism and his love of being complimented. And let's face it, I mean, we all know what he is. And so, he does know what he's saying. And yet, at the same time, he's also a fucking buffoon. So he doesn't understand. Now, more importantly to the MAGA supporters, these 30 countries, so you're up in arms because you've been told to uh, not support the military financial aid we're giving to the Ukraine. You've been told this, and you don't do anything to go and look into it. You just do what you're told. So this is always the problem, and this will continue to be with the problem with MAGA supporters. And this is why you can't really have a normal conversation with these people, because they don't want to look up just these are, you don't have to be a world history scholar, you don't have to be a constitutional scholar, you just have to be informed, and you have to be willing to learn. That is a sign of true intelligence. Okay, I'm getting off track here. So NATO is a military alliance. That is what it is. And if you don't understand that this is what protects our way of life, it doesn't mean that we agree with every nation on everything in NATO, but what it does do is it creates this unity that prohibits aggressive countries like Russia from destroying the free world. Okay, this is just not that complicated. So while you bitch and moan and complain about our funding the Ukraine, let's just say that the Republican MAGA lunatics get their way, and the Ukrainian support that we're giving them, let's just say our support runs dry, we can't get it over there, and Ukraine falls. Okay, so Russia takes back, which is part of the former Soviet Union. And then on this screen over here, there's the list of 30 countries, any one of those countries, so you have Latvia, you have Lithuania, you have Albania, you have Turkey, Canada, they could come from the other direction. But my point being is, any one of these countries gets attacked, part of our alliance, part of our word that we've given as they have given to us, is that we will become involved militarily. So that's when men and women from America will end up in the line of fire. That's when we will lose American lives in a war that could escalate to World War III. And this is what Putin wants. This is what he is attaining. He's got puppets. He has assets. He made a fucking fool out of Tucker Carlson, who just sat there and lapped up the propaganda, how the Western world, the United States in particular, runs the media. And I've said this in a prior video. So what? Yes, that's true. I am not a big proponent of mainstream media. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that that makes a dictator, a murderer, okay. What I'll sum up with is showing the direct results of what happens when you allow basically condoning dictatorial or authoritarian regimes. When you start allowing this in, this is what happens. Alexei Navalny, who was the basic, I would say the strongest person opposing Vladimir Putin. We all know that he attempted to murder him with poison, was unsuccessful, and this man has now given his life up for the sake of freedom. He went back voluntarily, knowing what was going to happen to him, and was put in Russian prison. His term, I believe, was 30 years or something like that, and then was moved to a gulag in Siberia. A day prior to his death, or I'm sorry, his unaliving, he was seen fine. You know, he was speaking, there was coverage of him. And then he died, okay, sorry, that's right, was unalived the next day. He was murdered. Murdered by, I assume I can say that word, I don't know anymore. Murdered by Vladimir Putin. This is all within a very short time period, a time frame of Donald Trump, the fat, bloated fucking idiot, going on national television and proclaiming, as I was speaking about earlier, that if NATO doesn't pay up, if any country in NATO doesn't pay up, he would let Russia do whatever the hell they want to them. Okay, so that was a few days ago, or a week ago at most. And then we had the farcical interview by a non-journalist, Tucker Carlson, who's not a journalist. And he basically, this is what Putin is doing. He's feeling it out. He's trying to see what he can get away with and how much he can dupe you. So I'm running to the end of my time, but this is what you have to lose. You have this to lose. And I don't mean me, don't worry. I mean, you have freedom to lose. Fuck every one of you MAGA supporters. You're traitors, just like Trump and Tucker and everyone else. Have a great weekend. Peace.